He stepped onto the snowy balcony to survey the maze of ancient pipes against the wall, then went in to fiddle with the water taps in the kitchen. "Aha," he finally said. "At first I thought the plumbers might have connected a pipe wrong and that the tub water could indeed be coming from the roof, but look!" He instructed me to stand and watch the tub full of water while he went into the kitchen and ran the hot tap. Bubbles and rings plopped up from the open drain hole. "You see," the agent accused, "it is your own water filling the tub. You have a frozen waste pipe, so it can't escape." Then he invited me out on the balcony. With dazzling glibness, he rattled off the sources and origins of the twining pipes. "That is your sink pipe. That is your bath pipe. Those going up into the air are air pipes." I stared in despair. The bath waste pipe alone ran some 20 feet down the wall and along the balcony before it bent to drop its load into an open drain below. Somewhere the bath waste pipe is frozen. "What happens," I asked, "if you run hot water in the tub?" "Oh, it just melts the top bit of ice and freezes again." "Then what can I do?" "Hold candles to the pipe or pour hot water on it?" Of course, I could have the builders put a blowtorch to it, but you'd have to have it done at your own expense. "But you are responsible for the outside repairs and the pipes are outside the house." "Ah, but," the agent evilly gleamed, "the bath is inside. Have you been plugging your drains every night to prevent water escaping and freezing?" "No, nobody told me to. But I always turn off the taps very tightly." I felt cornered. "Granted," said the agent loftily. "The water board should have sent round leaflets telling what to do in such an emergency." "What do you do at your flat?" "Oh, I run great douches of boiling water through several times a day and bung up the drains at night. Terrible waste of electricity, of course, but it seems to work." After the agent had folded himself into muffler, gloves, and bowler and left with his moisture detector, I pondered his advice. Douches of boiling water would do nothing if the pipes weren't already cleared, and I had a limited, perhaps even now extinct, supply of water. The candle cure seemed miserably Dickensian. Still, to be doing something, I filled a bucket with hot water and shivered out onto the balcony. At random, I emptied an almost immediately lukewarm water onto a spot of black, recalcitrant pipe, then went in to look at the tub, hoping for a miracle. There wasn't any. The dirty stuff didn't stir. All that materialized was the downstairs tenant. "Did you happen to empty some water on your balcony just now?" "The agent told me to," I confessed. "The agent's a fool. There's a puddle leaking through onto my kitchen floor and my front walls are dripping." "That, of course, is not your fault, but how can I lay carpets over a whole lot of water?" I said I had no idea. In the street that evening, I passed great frozen fields of water from, I presumed, burst pipes. At a tap newly raised from the sidewalk at one corner, an old-age pensioner stopped to fill a fat, flowered china pitcher. "Is that drinking water?" I called above the mean east wind. "I suppose," he croaked, "they put it there for that purpose." "Shocking!" we both cried at the same moment, and passed in the darkness like sad ships. Later that night, I heard the noise of a Niagara overhead and feet thudding up my hall stairs in a frenzied knocking. The taps gurgled and choked. I flung open the door and a ruddy young plumber rushed in. "Is the water coming?" I covered my eyes and pointed up to the roaring. "You look, I can't. Will it flood everything?" "Oh, it's just filling the cistern. It's all right." And it was. We had water to drink. We were lucky. As for the tub, I decided to wait until the thaw, that mystical, unpredictable date when affairs would be better. Every day I emptied its dirty contents by bucket into the toilet and flushed them away. Oddly enough, no one really beefed. I asked a man holding a small blue gas flame to a button of pipe at the side of the house if the flame helped. "Hasn't yet," he cheerfully said. The cheer seemed universal. We were all mucking in together as in the Blitz. An Indian girl in the chalk farm tube told me her house had been without any water for 3 weeks when the pipes burst and flooded the lot. They had to go out to eat, and the landlady rationed out buckets of water each day. "Sorry to get you out of the warm," the milkman apologized, calling for his weekly 10 and 6. "What we got now is 9 months of winter and 3 of bad weather." Then came the power cuts. One soot-colored and frigid dawn, I snapped on the 2 buttons of the electric heater the builders had stuck, like a Martian surgical mask, in the middle of my otherwise beautiful Georgian wall. A red, consoling glow, 2 bars of it, then nothing. I snapped on a light, nothing. Had I blown a fuse with my piecemeal heating, the little mushroom-shaped child-proof electric fan heaters I lugged around from room to room, they were never enough? They had been going defunct lately, one by one, fanning out icy air. I peered into the gray street. No light showed anywhere. My personal concern must be universal. Still, I felt dismal. What had happened? How long would it last? I knocked at the flat downstairs. A warm oil stench flooded the hall from one of those paraffin heaters I would never buy because of my fear of fire. "Oh, didn't you know there's a power cut?" said the tenant, who read newspapers. "Why?" "Strikes. A baby died in hospital because of it." "But what about my babies? They've got flu. They can't do this to us. It isn't right." The tenant shrugged with a resigned and helpless smile. Then he loaned me a green rubber hot water bottle. I wrapped my daughter in a blanket with the hot water bottle and set her over a bowl of warm milk and her favorite puzzle. The baby I dressed in a snowsuit. Luckily, I cooked by gas. Hours later, my little girl crowed, "Fire on!" And there it was, dull, red, ugly, but utterly wonderful. The next power cut came unannounced a few days later at tea. By this time I had flu too, that British alternation of fever and chills, for which my doctor offered no relief or cure. You either die or you don't. A neighbor popped in with prize booty, night lights, to see by. The shops were sold out of tapers, candles, everything. She had stood in a queue to get these, and the street old people were being helped down the perilous steps of cellar flats by candlelight. Candles filled the windows, mellow and yellow. The city flickered. Even after the power cut, the instinct to hoard remained. One ironmonger simply wrote "candles" in his window and sold out the piles of red and white boxes from some secret source. No other ironmonger had refills yet. In a few minutes, I bought a pound of wax fingers and stuffed my pockets. An electrician told me the generators simply weren't equipped to take care of the load of new electrical appliances. They were building new generators, but not fast enough. The statisticians hadn't envisioned the demand. Then, just a month after the first snowfall, the weather relaxed. Eaves began to drip. With a sordid gurgle, my bathtub emptied of its own accord. In the street, I saw official-looking men sprinkling shovelfuls of powder on the already half-melted ice. "What's that?" I demanded. "Salt and sawdust to make it melt." I also saw my first London snowplow, small, dowdy, with a crew of men helping it along by chipping and chopping the truculent remnants and dumping them into an open van. "Where have you been all month?" I asked one of them. "Oh, we've been coming." "How many plows do you have in all?" "5. I didn't ask whether the 5 served our zone only or the whole of London. It didn't really seem to matter. "What do you do with the snow?" "We empty it down the sewers. Then there's floods." "What will you do if this happens every year?" I asked my agent. He blenched. "Oh, it's not been this bad since 1947. I could tell he didn't want to think about it, the possibility of an annual snow blitz. Dress up warm, lots of tea and bravery. That seemed the answer. After all, what but war or weather breeds such comradeliness in a big, cold city? Meanwhile, the pipes stay outside. Where else? And what if there is another snow blitz? And another? My children will grow up resolute, independent, and tough, fighting through queues for candles for me in my agey old age, while I brew waterless tea. That, at least, the future should bring. On a gas ring in the corner, if the gas, too, is not kaput.